Second.
All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. You have a copy of the transfers. If there's any questions on those. One thing, just first, just tell you what it is. The reserve for transfer for the electrical inspection, that money is more money. That goes to the city. Kelly, we budgeted where we pay money, and the inspection fees have come out a whole lot more than what we budgeted. So we're transferring $11,000 into that. Don pays all of the electric fees over here, then we send half of them back across the street. So that's what that is. And any questions on any of the rest of them? That's just explanation on that. If not, I'll entertain a motion for the transfers. Bill?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. You have a copy of the bills. And on number 3, where the $400,000, that goes into the jail fund, not the road fund, from the general fund where we transferred. That's just a misprint. And the rest of them are self-explanatory.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Number 3, did you change some of them? Some of them she changed, some of them she didn't. Oh, she changed yours, she didn't change mine. Okay, it says jail fund on yours. Okay.
She had multiple attempts to do that. It was a good job.
Not going there, Tom. I just know what mine says.
Yes, sir.
And hers. Okay, I need a motion to pay the bills and hand checks. Mr. Hughes, Mr. Livingston, all in favor?
Judge, I'm going to recuse myself from any Parks and Rec that may be in their place.
Okay, so noted. We have a reappointment on Planning and Zoning Board. Stephen Smith, his term expires on February the 20th, and it's a 4-year term. This would be his second term, and he's willing to serve another term, so I would recommend that. If there's Mr. Lyons, Mr. Parker. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. The sheriff has to turn in his annual budget. Since they're a fee office, it's rather simple, a fee pooling office, rather. He anticipates receipts of $1,231,900 and expenses $1,231,900. And we need to approve that. And that's the extent of it. All his receipts and all of his expenditures balanced. So I need a motion to approve his annual budget. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Same way with the clerk's fees. Let me see, hers is a little more complicated. Her beginning balance plus receipts, $11,152,656. Disbursements, $10,037,844, with a book balance of $1,114,812. That's the report by Ms. Johnson, signed by Kenneth Portwood. That's her budget for the calendar year 2014. They're on a calendar year, not a fiscal year on their budget.
Does that imply a cash balance
That's what it says, book balance. There's a form, I don't,
How much was the balance? 14, 812, that's what I got.
that's her budget sheet, yes.
The sheriff's receipts and expenditures balanced.
Right.
And in this case,
And she's not here to explain it, or Kenna's not here, so I can't explain it for you. I just got it.
What do we call that, reserve?
yeah, I'm not, it's always been a bit confusing, given that we have a budgeting process that we go through for the fiscal year, but these fee offices have to do a calendar year.
Yeah, and this is a fee pooling office,
Right.
so it's even different.
But is a book balance just a cash surplus? Is it a carry forward? Is it available for spending?
You know, I can't answer that.
If that's the case, Judge, would it be appropriate, do we need to do this tonight, or could we carry it forward to the next meeting?
Supposed to be done. Well, won't we wait? Sometimes
I
she
think
shows
it's-
up later. I can't explain it because it's her.
I think it would be simpler to get an explanation so we
Okay.
all understand.
Okay, no problem. JR is short one person in the road department, and he has a recommendation, JR.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to recommend Shane Worth, who would be replacing Mike McKinney at a starting salary of $11.72 per hour, full-time with benefits, plus a 50-cent CDL incentive that brings it to $12.22 per hour.
How much, 12 what?
$12.22, counting the 50-cent CDL
Yeah.
incentive.
He's already got his
He
CDL.
already has them.
Motion approved.
Lance, Mr. Prather, any questions? All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Where's the jail? Carla Cannon, who's the chief deputy at the detention center, sent this up late, but it was because Michael Humphrey's been out, and she wasn't aware that, she's supposed to get this up a week ahead of time, but they need to fill this spot. It's approved as a part-time deputy jailer, Matthew Holland, at $10.25 an hour. And they said they've had 2 interviews, references, and background checks, and drug tests, and so forth. And I would recommend we go ahead, even though we didn't have it ahead of time, but that's up
I
to
did
the
receive this online or email, maybe 5 days ago.
No, we got it on email, but it was not.
It hadn't
I've
been.
had it for, yeah, I've had
Yeah,
it for,
been
Yeah.
that week.
not
We
a
have
full
had
week,
it for
but
a
I've had
while.
it for a while.
What's your pleasure?
I'm comfortable with going ahead and moving forward.
your
so I'll
motion?
make a motion.
Okay, David, do check. Anybody? We got a second? Got 2 or 3. Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. The EMA tower bids came in today. Glenn, if you will explain that, I appreciate it.
There are 3 bids that have been received, and I'll give a little more detail in just a minute, but I'll at least tell you what those bids are. The first is from Allstate Tower Incorporated. The base bid is $122,000 even. Next bid was Comtech Construction Incorporated, $280,205.23. And a third bid comes from Sabre Communications Corporation, and it is $122,897. So you've got the lowest bid at $122,000 by Allstate Tower Incorporated. And we have a letter coming from Mr. Pickering with CMW indicating that they recommend the low bid as submitted by Allstate Tower Incorporated for acceptance by the court. Now, give you a little bit of explanation as to the bidding process. Unbeknownst to the county, until I got a phone call, and I'm assuming that's how it came in, notification to the judge's office, the bid packages that were printed by the entity that CMW utilizes. Had bid packages out that Allstate and Comtech, as it's been explained to me, received that had the bid deadline and opening as of Tuesday, 2 o'clock, is that what it was?
Mhm.
And as it turns out, I think the judge's office notified by a phone call that there was, by CMW, that another bid was forthcoming. And they had been given a bid package which contained yesterday's date at 2 o'clock. So with that said, it was my thought, and I talked with the judge's office, that since there had been an error made through no fault of the bidder, that CMW should contact the two that had lived up to the first bid spec and the deadline, and let them know that there had been an error in a deadline for potentially as many as 3 additional bidders. And that bid would be opened at that particular time and would be considered. I think that was done. Again, it's my understanding that was done. Communication was made. And as it turns out, it really doesn't make any difference in my opinion, because Allstate Tower and Comtech were the 2 bids that came in on the first date. And the third bid comes in yesterday per the bid spec package they had been given. It just had the incorrect date and time, or a different date and time, let's put it that way. But that bid comes in $897 more than the low bid of Allstate Tower. So I think you probably accomplished, or we did inadvertently, by being fair with the last bidder, because they were given a different date, yet notification was given to the 2 previous bidders who lived by their bid package. But as it turns out, it was the low bidder was one of the 2 that came in on the first day.
There was no mistake made by CMW, nor was there a mistake made by the fiscal court. I believe it's Lynn Imaging that when somebody picks up the bids, they pay and get to copy the bid package. And why the date's different, I have no idea. But
But they weren't open on Tuesday.
we opened the 2 that came in on Tuesday, but
Okay.
nobody was there. And as Glenn said, the third bid was higher. So,
Higher anyway.
Yeah, if it'd been lower, you might have had a problem, but they were higher, so we didn't have an issue.
And I think that Lusby verified the advertisement on the different date as well. You've got verification in your
Yeah.
file, so the third bidder was living up to the obligation placed in that different date, but as mentioned, I don't think it's gonna make any difference because your lowest bidder came in on the first day.
With that said, and with the recommendation, need a motion to accept the low bid. Bill, is that your motion? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further questions?
Just, Judge, as we move forward with this, what is the relationship with the city as to the discussions?
Well, we
had?
haven't, this is the first amount. It's been brought up to the city, and I was gonna talk about it later, but I'll talk about it now. I talked to Andrew this afternoon, and planning to have a joint meeting, he hopes next week, if we can schedule one, with the committee, Tom, David, and so we can discuss it then.
Okay.
The only thing that I think that's happened, and Kelly's here, it was brought up, Kelly, in the meeting about the tower, but no decision was made. Yeah, it was brought up by Connie. Yeah, so that's where we stand on it. And that's where we stand, and when we have the meeting, be a better time to discuss it. Any further questions or discussion?
I do think it'd be very timely, Judge, for that interlocal committee to get back together. We had a difficulty the last time because I think only one council member had been appointed to the committee. And I hope that if we meet, the council will have their full complement appointed.
I just talked to Andrew this afternoon, so I don't know the status of that. Any other questions? Well, the motion is to accept the low bid. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. David has got some equipment that he wants declared junk and destroyed, and does everybody have a copy of that, Stacy, or just me? Okay, David, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, as many of y'all are aware, Brandon's mother died last weekend, so he's been out of the office the last 3 weeks with her. She was in hospice in Ohio, and had been sick for some time, but this other event happened fairly quickly, so I appreciate everybody's support of Brandon and his family. We are gonna go to the funeral tomorrow afternoon. It's in Circleville, which is up near Columbus. So I will be out most of the afternoon tomorrow. There are requests if anybody wants to donate to the Humane Society or the hospice where she was in Ohio, and I have that information if anybody's interested in participating in a donation. Secondly, they're basically older pieces of equipment that are worn out. The two fax machines are not repairable. They're probably were $30 or $40 when we bought them originally, and they've been used up, so they're ready to be. Hopefully, I can take them to the e-recycling center out by Delaplane, and they'll be able to use some parts out of them. And the computer monitor is about 12 years old. It's the big tube type monitor, and it's worn out, so it's not repairable.
On the computer, is that got medical information or anything on it where it needs to be?
It's just a monitor. It's not a computer. It's just a TV
monitor.
part.
Oh.
Need a motion to declare these junk, and
So moved.
Mr. Prather, Mr. Hughes. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous.
And now I have a little bit of bad news. I got a call this afternoon. We had taken the ambulance that was in the accident to another body shop because we weren't getting anywhere with the one we had it at. Their folks put it up on a rack to look at it, and it has frame damage near the box where it attaches to the frame. I just talked with JR. We're going to get the CAECO claims adjuster back here to look at it, but their recommendation was probably that we're going to have to re-chassis it. I don't know if there's damage to the actual box. So I would like to move forward when we get the word from CAECO to do that. However, it'll have to be put on a rollback and taken to somewhere where they can redo the chassis part. So I don't have an estimate tonight. I just got this word this afternoon. That's unfortunate because, it's not that old a truck. So as soon as I get information, I do have a recommendation for a shop in Tennessee that I've seen their aftermarket work on wrecks that would do us a good job, I think. So I just want to move forward on it as soon as I get the word from CAECO what we need to do with it. So I want to bring it before you all tonight.
Any questions about that?
David, one would be the first place you took it to, did they have an estimate on what it would take to fix the truck, or?
All we were told was it had frame damage and he wouldn't put his family in it. So the concern that I have now is if we've got damage that's not visible where the box attaches to the chassis, which the box will have to come off to determine that, and there's nobody in this area that does that, so it'd have to go on a rollback somewhere. So we're kind of in limbo on that right now.
We've got insurance on it, so.
Is it possible, Dave, that if they take the box and expose more of the chassis to examine it closer, that they could determine there's so much damage it's not worthy of fixing?
I guess we'd have to get, obviously when they adjust those things on an insurance claim, I assume on an aftermarket specialty vehicle, it's pretty hard to determine a retail value, as it were. So we're looking at a 07 cutaway Ford diesel chassis. Ford doesn't make that particular chassis anymore, so it'd be my recommendation for a Chevrolet. At this point in time, there again, without some figures, I can't tell you for sure what we're up against with that.
And it's, of course, for the vehicles that you operate, it's not just the replacement value, but it's the service value.
Correct.
And the dependability value.
And the other thing, anytime they pull a ambulance box off, it has to be reattached and recertified to meet federal government specifications to make sure it's safe to be back on the road.
Okay.
So that's an added cost to, and a repair when the box comes off, they have to recertify it when they put it back on to make sure it's attached correctly.
Well, it's good that there's a higher level of certification than just a body shop.
Yes, sir.
David, I would be interested in what the price difference would be from what the insurance payout is on this versus a new cab and chassis to put the box back on.
Okay.
Well, until we get estimate from the insurance company, we're kind of
Insurance
spinning
will
the
give us all
wheels,
that.
so. Okay, as soon as you get that, David, we'll.
Try to get it first of the week, sir. That's all I have. Thank you.
Ken, okay, thank you. Kenna, we have this report, and there's some questions.
Okay. The one I brought up today?
Yeah, come up here, stand in front of the mic.
Downstairs minding my own business.
No, this is your business, your name's on it.
Yes.
It starts out, and this is a question, because it's a fee pooling office, it's usually the receipts and the expenditures are zero. But this says beginning balance of $11,152,656, and disbursements $10,037,844, with a book balance of $1,114,812. What's,
Right.
would you explain that?
Right, that's our projection of what we will be turning over to fiscal court in the coming year. And that, we don't have a report to run to show the zero balance. We just took our actual numbers that we brought in last year with a few tweaks on some things we can't guarantee coming in, and just showed approximately what we would be turning over to you. That's the format we've been using in the past that I'm aware of, so I think it's been like that about every year. That's just a projection of what it's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be.
an
That's not,
estimate.
that's not our true book balance, no. No, it's just a projection of what we took in, the actual numbers, a little over $1 million last year. And we just rode those numbers over into the upcoming year, what we're looking to take in. Does that
You
make
took
sense?
in 11, rounding it off, 11 million.
A little over 11 million.
Spent 10, and you're turning over to the county $1,114,000.
We're projecting to turn over to the county next year.
Okay.
You can project that we're gonna turn over about 1.1 million.
Okay.
Should actually be over that, but we
Okay, I
try to be on the
understand.
safe side.
Yeah.
I took the delinquent tax and copies and things that aren't guaranteed out.
Sure.
The 10 million would be dispersing things that go to the state.
To the
You
state,
go there.
yes, to all the
That's-
entities,
Yeah.
yes.
And
So
this,
we are-
what's left is what,
What's left is our excess fees that
Yeah.
or we are intending to turn over to you next year, so that
Okay.
you can get, for your budget, look, that's about how much we will be turning over.
thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
understand clearly.
I move acceptance.
Okay.
Answers my question.
Mine
also.
too. Thank you. Okay. Yours is different than the sheriff's. So-
That's just the report system we use.
Yeah.
I basically ran a quarterly report for one day and used all my expenses that we from last year.
Well, if you have more left over, we'll take it.
Oh, you get it all, so
Okay.
we don't keep any.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. We had a request for copies of DVDs for fiscal court meetings for the past 6 years. And we don't have a cost for running DVDs off and so forth. And they didn't ask for the cost, they asked for what we would charge to do that. And 7 years of all of the meetings that we had. And Stacy called somebody at Frankfurt and, or
I talked with one of the state
Albany.
agencies,
And what do they charge?
$10.
$10.
It's-
And I have no idea whether it'll be 50 cents or $50, but $10 seems like you got to come up here and run them off.
DVD?
Per,
Per DVD, yes. It's,
and it's quite a chore, and the public's welcome to them, we don't mean that, but somebody's got to run them off and run them off. And
From 7 years ago, are they on DVD or?
some of them are on tape,
Are they
aren't they,
still on
JR?
reel or?
We'll have to. On a reel.
I'm sure that somebody's gonna sit down and watch 7 years of them, but they didn't ask for them, they asked for the cost. Does that, Glenn, have you got any thoughts on that?
I know the statute just says that you make those available, you can recover what's reasonable. Now, your per copy cost, there's an AG opinion out there too that talks about 10 cents. You can only recoup what your actual cost may be.
Not,
Just
is
can't
that
set
not
it up.
including labor?
Yeah, typically not for copies anyway, David.
Right.
But this DVD, I'm like the judge, it's new territory for me, and they did ask in that request what the estimated cost may be. Didn't ask for them yet, still can. But I think it's gotta be something that's reasonable, where you're trying to recoup essentially your bare minimum cost.
Bill, do you have a comment?
Yeah, there's places that, I mean, I know if we do it ourselves, it's gonna be quite labor intensive, but there's places that you can take those to, and they've got machines that can reproduce them automatically, and the cost shouldn't be near as much as what it would cost us in labor either. And I've got mixed feelings. I know we need to recover our costs, but we wanna make sure that whatever we establish here doesn't become a burden to the citizens of Scott County and make it hard for them to get the information that they want. Because I know in information that I've asked to get from time to time, I've been unhappy with the procedure I've had to go through to get it and the way that I got it. And I don't want to create that problem for anybody else.
David?
Is that the only copy we have of those meetings? Because my
We
fear
just have
would be-
one copy, don't we, JR? Yeah.
The
So
library has
the
one.
library
The
has a
library
copy.
has a copy.
So there are two copies?
There's a copy, we make a copy for the library,
Okay.
and a copy we keep here. And
You
that,
don't want them leaving the building.
you know.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, we can't take our only copy and
Right.
send them out. Don't think, I wouldn't think it would be wise.
They make it bring the machine in here.
Yeah, I know.
mean, it's a
Well-
small machine.
But the only thing that I think we need to do is establish what's a reasonable cost. And they also ask for 7 years of all pay stubs. Well, some of them's up in the attic and everywhere else. And it, 7 years of the minutes. And, you know, these things, not that they're entitled to them, and nobody's questioning, but it gets pretty burdensome when you have to run them off. And as Glenn said, we have to run them off, and we've been charging 10 cents a copy. And, but I know that's reasonable, not even reasonable, it's low, but the DVDs, we can't take out the only copy we got. You can't take things out of drawers and tell somebody to go copy them, bring them back and put them back just like they were. And so we have to do those things. And some people think that you can just hand them out and give them to anybody and they can bring them back, but it doesn't work that way. And they're documents that we have to keep for, some of them forever. And,
I believe all the VHS tapes are in the attic.
you know,
The 10 cents a page seems to be a pretty standard accepted number for most agencies.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how to correlate that with the DVD cost, but the $10 seems reasonable.
well,
I don't
Alvin
think-
said, that's what you said at the
One of
state.
the, one of the state agencies that holds public hearings, and when they're requested, it's $10 plus postage. That's what they're, I mean, it's just one
Plus
of the, they had
postage.
contact with.
Yeah.
Well, if we ever got challenged over it, we can always say we're doing what the state's doing.
Or we can adjust it if we get challenged on it.
Well, and we don't want to, I do agree, we do not want to put a barrier between our records and the citizens. But $10 for a DVD seems like a reasonable recovery of cost if we wanted to start in that regard.
If we included the labor, I'd say that's probably accurate, but if we're just, like the paper cost, I think it's just trying to recover the paper and the toner and that kind of stuff. And the DVD cost, if we try to just figure for the DVD material, I think $10 is, you know, too much. I mean, I'm not sure what the
What do you
DVD
think is
cost.
right?
I think $1 would be fine.
Do you? Okay.
Yes, sir. Since you asked.
Is there a motion on the floor? We got to charge something. I'll make the motion then. I'll make a motion. We charge 10 cents and $10 for the DVD. We'd have a second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
That's doing it in-house?
Yeah,
Judge?
well, that's the only way we can do it.
Right.
Well, if all the copies are at the library,
Well,
well,
I don't know when that started,
okay.
but he knows that I have to call him back tomorrow and tell him what the fee we set, and we'll go from there.
The last three are available on the website, but they're not archived beyond that. I would like to, I mean, that's no cost to anybody, you can look at those. And I don't know if in the future, if we could archive further back than that or not, so people have access at no cost, but it'd be nice if they did.
Well, like I say, some of them are on tapes. JR?
I think we have 4 years of DVDs.
4 years, so we got 3 on tapes. Okay. All in favor? And opposed? Yeah.
Can, while we're at this, if you're gonna have to make copies of the VHS tapes, can you go on ahead and make an extra copy for us?
We make one.
I mean,
for-
seriously, because the VHS tapes,
Right.
you may find that they're melted up there.
They deteriorate.
Yeah,
Well, they're not the official record anyway.
right,
The official record is the,
Make one extra for us to have.
yeah,
yeah, the official record is the minutes,
right.
but it's nice sometimes to go back and look.
And plus, Judge, it occurs to me that I may want a personal collection of greatest hits of the fiscal court.
Moving
I may need to
on.
order a few of these myself.
You're desperate.
We're not
Okay.
talking physical.
One of the things, we're getting more and more and more requests for open records and more, years back. And, we can't keep them all down here and we have to put them up in the attic and it's quite burdensome, but, there are those that want them and they can have them.
I think Mr. Lyons has the ultimate solution. And we need to reach a point where all of those are on the website and anyone from the comfort of their own home can click on a meeting, even if it's an old meeting, and be able to
Yeah.
scroll through it. I think that needs to be our goal,
That's a good,
and move us past even this question.
Right. Along with minutes and budgets and.
the next item on the agenda is next week, or the first week in February, is the CAECO meeting in Lexington, and it's on Friday, and we either need to cancel the workshop or reschedule it. And to my knowledge, there's not anything pressing that we would need to meet for a workshop unless you just want to. Or change it, the date.
I don't have anything for it that I can think of.
Or if something comes up, we could call a special workshop. So, sure.
Do that.
Cancel it? Okay, we need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. That's all the items that's on the agenda. One thing I want to say, there's been some discussion about not having any salt at the salt barn. We've got enough salt to do for several weeks, depending on the snow. If it snows every day, we don't have. The salt barns were completely full to start the year, and we had orders for 2,500 tons, JR, that's right, isn't it?
We had it full with 2,500 tons going into the winter.
Yeah, and we had orders for 2,500 more.
I've got orders for 1,500 tons
More.
Yes.
Yeah, and they have not been able to ship it. We're in good shape. I don't want anybody to think that we're not, contrary to what some people put on the internet. In fact, one person put on the internet, that 3 roads we hadn't even touched, and it's true, but they were all state roads, and we don't do state roads. But contrary to what they say, we're probably in better shape than any county around, because I was watching television before I came down here in Lexington. The person was saying, we don't do these side roads and things. We do all the roads, and we do them well. And it really is frustrating. Our road crew has been out hours and hours and hours, as you all know, at sub-zero weather, taking care of the roads, and they're all in perfect shape right now. And for people to take advantage of the fact that we can't, that nobody can get extra salt, and we've got salt. Now, if it snows from now till the middle of February, and they don't ship what we've ordered, then we'll deal with that too, as JR has done. But they're out there at midnight till whenever, time and time again. And if you can't get the salt from the company, then, and nobody's getting it. Lexington's not getting it, the state's not getting it, nobody. And, but contrary to what some people post, we're in not great shape, but we're in good shape. All the roads are clean in the whole county. All the county roads are clean, and they deserve a lot of compliments and thanks for what's been done, instead of some people posting stuff that is not factual.
Judge, if I might comment, when we do have our next workshop, you know, we have our priority list, and maybe it'd be a time to start discussing some of this about the road department. We've got some intentions to move the road department.
Yeah.
Build a new SAR fund, and let's get that thing started, because we need to look at it
Well-
now and address the situation, you know. I think it'd be a proper time to look into it.
I think what you say, we're waiting, and what Chuck said is exactly right, for the bypass to be completed, and it's gonna be completed this summer. Then this is what the court has agreed to do, to build the road from Great Crossings to the bypass, put up a new,
Now, there we might want to have a discussion.
Yeah.
On some of where we put the new facility.
Well-
I don't think we've ever discussed that.
No, but we
Well-
have talked about a new facility.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's different, that's fine. I've talked to about JR, but the main thing is we're gonna put up a new facility. And but that's not the problem with the salt this year. The problem with the salt is the company that we ordered it from, it's not delivering it, so.
Well, but
But as I was saying that, though, when we put up a new road department, we get a salt dome that would be.
Well,
adequate.
we'll get
But
whatever it takes, yeah.
There's a lot of things I didn't understand, that the salt goes to different departments and whatnot, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of salt.
It takes a lot of salt, yeah.
and
Go ahead, Bill.
the challenge with the salt, like you said, is not just Scott County, it's all over, and it's the weather that's caused the challenge, not anything that anybody had done wrong. And matter of fact, as you said, Judge, road department's done a fantastic job, considering the challenges that have been put in front of them.
Absolutely. That's my story. Before, we're gonna have an executive session, but before we do, anyone have anything want to bring before the court? Mr. Hughes, anything for the good of the order?
No, sir.
The one thing, the extension is hosting a blood drive tomorrow from 10:30 to 4 at the county extension office.
Thank you.
No, sir.
Tom?
No, sir.
Bill?
I've had some people ask, and I just wanted to throw this back out here and revisit the Christmas Eve holiday issue. I don't know if it's anything we want to revisit or not, but some people do so much on Christmas Eve, not just going places, but the people that are involved in the planning for their family dinners on Christmas Eve, it's really creating some hardship. I know other people will probably create hardships if we, have to go back Friday, but since I was asked, I told them I'd bring it up. And
What I knew that I had thought that was coming up, and we've adopted the calendar.
Right.
So I think the time to discuss that would probably be sometime in November or something.
closer to the
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah.
As
So-
long,
That'd be my,
I'd like to discuss it sooner than that, maybe even July, and the reason being is that Christmas is on a Thursday this year. And if they're
We
off
can
on
discuss it
Friday,
anytime you
there'll
want
be
to,
some
yeah.
people that, knowing that they might have a
Yeah.
5-day weekend, would plan well in advance to travel a long distance. And if we wait until, if we wait till November, that won't give them the opportunity to.
well,
But
yeah,
that- so
we
I
can
mean,
discuss
that's-
it whenever you want to. Maybe when we make the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
and it would probably be good to, try to get a little bit more input and, you know, we're not gonna please everybody, but try to do what we can to make it work for the most.
Okay, yeah. We could do it when we discuss the budget, because it does affect the budget. Anything else?
No, sir.
Glenn? Stacy? I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue. Mr. Hughes, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. All in favor? It's unanimous. During executive session, we discussed personnel matter and no action taken at this time. Is there anyone that has anything else to bring forward to court? If not, we stand adjourned.